When I Fall by Scarlet Emerald 32. Chapter 7. They both looked up sharply, scanning their surroundings for the source of the sound. Mrs. Neutermeyer walked off of her porch looking confused, and as they watched, an unknown man in torn, dirty clothing ran up from the side of her house and plunged a spear through her chest. Rosita grabbed Talisa immediately and pulled her down behind the railing. The two of them crawled quickly along the porch and back inside, closing and locking the door behind them.
Who are they?
I don't know, but it's obvious they aren't here to make friends.
Rosita pulled her gun out and loaded it from the ammo pouch at her side. She sat up slightly and peeked over the edge of the window.
I've got to go out there. I've got to try to help people if I can.
Hang on.
Talisa stayed low as she ran the short distance to the hall closet and opened the door. She moved several boxes to reveal a small cubby in the back and pulled out a Glock 19 handgun and 2 magazines. She loaded one into the gun and slipped the other into the waistband of her jeans. Rosita looked from the gun to her in surprise.
I respect Deanna, and I understand her rules, but I wasn't about to leave myself completely defenseless. Let's go out the back. It'll give us more cover.
The two women snuck to the back of the building and onto the sun porch that led to the backyard. There were now intermittent screams filling the air, and every once in a while a gunshot.
Sounds like we're fighting back. Let's get going.
The two of them slipped out the back door and snuck along the side of the house, checking carefully around corners before stepping out. The streets were now littered with the bodies of other citizens, and blood was running in streams between the cobblestones.
Rosita, what if Eugene and Tara went back to the tower? There's no way they...
No, you don't think like that. They're fine until we know otherwise, okay? You gotta keep your head on straight. I need you.
Talisa took a deep breath and nodded. They went to step out from behind the shed they were using as cover, but Rosita threw an hand out and they jumped back as a man wielding a bloody machete ran past. Once he was out of sight, they sprinted for the back of the next house and almost jumped out of their skin as they collided with Aaron and Eric, who were carrying an unconscious and bloody Holly between them. Aaron leveled his gun at her.
Whoa, it's us. What happened to her?
Knife in the gut.
As Eric was speaking, Talisa saw it poking out of her shirt.
Okay. The medical office is 3 houses down. Let's move. And be careful.
They moved quickly but carefully as they darted from house to house and finally made it up the steps to Pete's office. Aaron kicked open the door and they heard a scream. Denise, Tara, and Eugene were standing in the room, and Tara whipped around and aimed a gun at them before realizing who it was and quickly lowering it.
Holly!
We need the operating table prepped now. She's lost a lot of blood.
Denise grabbed the rolling table and brought it over for them to lay her down on. Talisa stepped around them and went directly to Eugene, grabbing him and hugging him fiercely. After a second's pause, he wrapped his arms tightly around her as well.
I was so scared you were still out there. I'm so glad you're okay.
My sentiments exactly.
They held each other for a few more seconds before letting go. She put a hand on the side of his face, searching for any signs of obvious distress.
But you're okay? Really?
I'm entirely fine. We were already in here when the chaos began, so we've been hunkered down, waiting it out.
Talisa, I need you to get the IV started.
On it.
How many are out there?
I don't know, a lot.
Aaron handed Talisa tape to secure the IV. Suddenly there was a crash from the direction of the gate, and a loud horn started blaring.
Jesus Christ, what is that? It sounds like an air horn.
We gotta get out there and stop it. The noise is gonna draw that herd right back here onto us.
Aaron looked over at his husband with an apologetic expression and squeezed his hand.
I've got to go. I have to help if I can.
I know you do.
Eric kissed the back of his hand before letting it go.
I'm going with you.
Me too. You got dizzy swinging a hammer.
Denise pointed out, glaring at Tara.
Tara, somebody has to stay here and guard this place anyway. You stay, I'll go.
What? You can't go. I need you here. I can't handle this on my own.
I concur. I believe the safest and most prudent course of action is for you to remain.
Enough. Denise, you know what you know as far as triage is concerned, and me being next to you isn't going to change that. Now I know you can take care of Holly, but you're just going to have to figure out how to know it too on your own. And Eugene?
She turned back to him.
I know you want me to be safe. I get it. Not 5 minutes ago I was completely losing my mind over whether you were safe too, but I can handle myself out there and they need my help. So I have to go, okay?
Okay.
She could see the resolve in his expression as he took a deep breath and spoke again.
But if you are going out there, then you best believe that I intend to be by your...
No, Eugene, I love you, and God knows I get it, and I'm proud of you for it, but you can't shoot, and you don't have any defensive skills. You coming with us will just put her in more danger. I'll watch her back. I promise.
Eugene looked from Rosita to Talisa with a scared but resigned face. He slumped his shoulders in acceptance, and Talisa took a quick step back to him and gave him a swift kiss on the cheek. He looked up at her in surprise.
I'll be back as soon as I can. Hold down the fort with Tara and help Denise in any way you can.
Yes, ma'am.
She ran out the door with Aaron and Rosita, and they ducked quickly behind the building to make a plan.
What's our play? That horn sounds like it's coming from the gate. But there's a whole lot of open ground between here and there.
How many bullets do you have?
4 in my gun and an extra clip. You?
5.
I've got a full clip in mine and an extra, so that's 12.
That's 27 bullets. It'll be close, but we might be able to make it.
Wait, I have an idea.
She'd just seen the bodies of 2 of the intruders laying in the road a few feet away from them.
Rosita, cover us. Aaron, follow my lead, okay?
She ran out into the street, grabbed one of the bodies by the feet, and started dragging it back behind the house.
What are you doing?
Just trust me, and get the other one.
There was a loud yell from Aaron's right as an unknown woman charged out of the alley with a machete. Aaron grabbed for his gun, but before he could reach it, there was a loud bang, and the woman was thrown towards him with the force of the bullet that had punched through her back. They both looked around wildly for the source of the shot, and Talisa saw the glint of the sniper rifle in the clock tower.
Oh, thank God for Spencer.
There's a sentence I bet you never thought you'd say.
Talisa gave him an appreciative smirk as they pulled the bodies back behind the cover of the house.
So, what's the plan here?
Back when things first went down, JP and I figured out the trick where if you dress up like the dead and cover yourself in their filth, they don't notice you. Same idea here.
Talisa pulled the ratty trench coat off one of the bodies and tossed it at Rosita. She pulled the jacket off the other and put it on herself.
We're going to try and blend in to conserve ammo.
She moved to the flower bed at the back of the house and grabbed a couple handfuls of dirt and leaves.
Rosita, take your hair down.
Rosita complied immediately, and Talisa began dragging the dirt and leaves through her hair and smearing it across her face as well. She did the same to herself and then turned back to Aaron.
Put your hood up and cover the bottom half of your face with this.
She handed him a filthy bandana that one of them had been wearing and then turned back to the bodies.
I hope neither of you are wearing any clothes you're particularly attached to.
She reached down and covered her hands in the blood and grime and began to spread it liberally across her clothing. She made sure to rip and distress her jeans as well, and then, as a final touch, she added a W on each of their foreheads in blood, just like the ones on the bodies. She quickly grabbed the small axe and machete from the waistbands of the 2 bodies and turned to hand them to Rosita and Aaron.
I'm good. I've got this.
Rosita pulled a large buck knife from her own waistband and held it up.
Give Aaron one and you keep the other.
Aaron reached for the axe, so Talisa kept the machete for herself.
Keep your guns concealed, but ready. Only shoot if they realize who you are. Keep the weapons high and act like they do, and I think we might be able to pull this thing off.
They ran out into the street and towards the gate. They kept their heads down and their weapons high, just like Talisa had said. Other Alexandrians ran screaming from them, and Talisa felt slightly guilty posturing and waving the machete in their direction. But the plan worked. Several of the other mysterious W people ran past them in the other direction without a second glance. They made it to the new watchtower, which was only halfway completed, and as they ran around the corner, Aaron collided with another stranger dressed in all black, with her face covered like his. He raised the axe instinctively, but the person pulled out a gun and took aim.
Wait!
Talisa suddenly realized what was happening. The stranger looked over at her, and recognition flashed. She dropped the gun and pulled down her mask.
Carol, oh thank God.
What the hell are you all doing out here?
Same as you, obviously. Trying to get to that horn and turn it off.
It's a truck. I saw it hit the wall, took out the clock tower, and then hit the north side near the gate. I tried to get to it, but I can't from in here.
As she was speaking, the noise abruptly cut out.
Thank God.
Rosita leaned against the side of the watchtower.
Maggie or Spencer must have gotten to it. I saw Maggie and Deanna heading outside the walls just before everything started.
Good. That's one less person we have to worry about. Maggie will keep her safe. Now we need to split up and get this contained. They're armed, but they don't have guns. So we can take them as long as we don't hesitate. I'm going to head north along the wall. You three head south, and we'll meet up at the back gate. And remember, don't hesitate. They won't.
We know.
Oh, and one more thing. Morgan's here somewhere, so look out for him. He wants to help, but he...
Yeah, I understand.
Carol gave her a nod before running off back the way she came. A few seconds later, they heard her first shot. They headed back the way they had come as well, behind the houses. They came across only 2 more of the unknown strangers who Rosita quickly shot on sight. As they headed through their third backyard, Aaron held up a hand and they stopped.
Listen.
Both women froze and were immediately aware of how silent it had become. They all looked at each other and seemed to have the same thought, because they all took off running at the same time. They cut down the alley between the houses and back to the main road just in time to see the last of their attackers running out the main gate, and Morgan closing it behind them.
Hey, what are you doing? You're letting them get away.
Rosita tried to push past him, but Morgan held her back.
No, they made a different choice. They chose to walk away.
What the hell are you talking about? Who decided they got the choice to walk away? Look around us.
He gestured at the streets littered with bodies.
Aaron, it's done. It's over. We can't change it now.
Aaron looked like he wanted to argue the point further, but he was distracted when a loud banging from the other side of the gate made them all jump.
Hey, we saw them all taking off. Let us in.
Morgan pulled the gate open again, and Maggie walked in looking exhausted with Deanna and Spencer close behind her. Talisa grabbed her and gave her a hug.
Thank God.
She let her go and turned to Deanna and Spencer.
You two all right?
Deanna looked around at the bodies lining the streets with a dazed and horrified expression. Talisa walked to her and put her hand on both of Deanna's shoulders, forcing her to meet her eye.
Deanna, I know it's bad, but we're still here, and it's going to be okay. Now I need you to answer me. Are you all right? Do you need medical attention?
Deanna blinked slowly and seemed to finally register that Talisa was there.
No, I'm fine. Maggie kept me safe.
I knew she would.
Talisa shot a significant look in Maggie's direction that she returned.
We need to go out and make sure to take care of the people on the outside.
Who? They all ran off.
She means the bodies. We have to go make sure they don't turn.
I'll take care of it. You can help me. I'll teach you how.
She grabbed Spencer by the arm and pulled him back towards the gate.
I should go help her. There's a lot of them out there, and we want to get them before they turn if we can help it.
Talisa put a hand on her arm and leaned close, talking softly so only she could hear.
Take Deanna with you. I'm not sure she's ready to be in here yet.
She shot a glance at the woman who was gazing around at the bodies again with a vague expression. Maggie nodded in understanding and walked over, hooking her arm through Deanna's as she steered her back through the gate.
We need to do the same thing in here.
Talisa nodded.
Let's do a sweep. Check the houses, see who's left, and take care of any bodies along the way. I'll head south, you head north.
Aaron nodded and took off down the road to the left, while Talisa headed right. The first house she got to was Jesse's.
Jesse?
She pushed open the front door, but no one answered. She walked into the living room and called her name again, being careful to check the corners in case anyone may have been lurking. She heard a noise from the kitchen and spun around, pointing her gun in the direction it came from. She saw a pair of filthy bare feet just visible at the end of the island. She slowly walked around it and saw a woman sprawled on the floor covered in blood with a pair of hair scissors stuck in her neck. Jessie was sitting on the floor near her head, staring at the body blankly. She was so still, Talisa would have thought she was in some kind of comatose state if it wasn't for the rapid rise and fall of her chest and the trembling of her hands.
Jessie.
She jumped violently, looking up at her in fear. Her whole body began to shake, and Talisa moved quickly, dropping to her knees in front of her.
Hey, it's okay. Just breathe, okay? It's over.
Jessie's breaths were turning into gasps as tears filled her eyes, and she pushed herself back across the floor until her back was against the cabinets. Talisa followed and put her hands on her shoulders, bracing her and capturing her attention like she had done with Deanna.
Jessie, look at me.
After another few seconds, Jessie's eyes focused on her.
Good. Now I want you to take a few deep breaths, in and out.
Jessie obeyed.
Perfect. Can you tell me if you're hurt?
My knee. I hit it on the edge of the island when she pushed me down.
Can you put weight on it?
I think so.
She pushed herself up gingerly and Talisa helped her stand. She hobbled slightly, but she was able to walk.
Where's Sam and Ron?
Sam's upstairs in his hiding spot. I told him not to come out. Ron never made it home.
Jessie's eyes filled with tears and panic.
Hey, don't do that.
Talisa repeated Rosita's words to her from earlier.
He's fine until you know otherwise, okay? There's about 1,000,000 places he could have hidden.
Jessie nodded and closed her eyes tight, taking a deep breath to steady herself.
You're right. I need to go up and check on Sam. Then we can go.
Mom!
The front door flew open again, and Ron came running through the door.
Oh, thank God. Where were you?
Jessie gathered him into her arms, hugging him fiercely and kissing the top of his head.
I got stuck out there, and then Carl saved me. He brought me back into his house, with him and Enid.
So they're okay?
Ron nodded.
Carl had a rifle, and he had the place locked down. No one got in.
Good. Go upstairs and check on your brother. He's in his hiding spot.
Ron nodded and headed for the stairs, and Talisa turned back to Jessie.
I have to get back out there and help. Are you going to be okay?
Jessie looked over at the body still on her kitchen floor.
Hey, she was trying to hurt you and your boys, and you did what you had to do. Don't you dare feel bad about it. You did good today, Jessie.
Jessie gave her a small smile, but her mouth still trembled slightly. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, nodding as she did.
Go upstairs and take care of the boys. I'll make sure someone comes and gets that out of here.
She nodded towards the body.
Thanks, Talisa.
Jessie gave her a quick hug before heading for the stairs. Talisa walked out the door and down the steps just in time to see Tara, Eugene, and Eric walking down the sidewalk towards her.
What are you guys doing out here?
Denise sent us out to see what was going on.
She wanted some time to herself. Holly's dead.
Damn it.
Tara here attempted to console her by pointing out that as a psychiatrist, with only basic medical knowledge, she did in fact do her best. But she didn't want to hear it, and promptly sent us packing.
Talisa nodded in acknowledgement.
I'll go talk to her. If she's going to listen to anyone right now, it's probably me. Tara, Aaron is doing a sweep of the north side, making sure to take care of any bodies and checking the houses. I told him I'd go south. Think you can take over for me?
You got it.
You said Aaron went north?
Eric asked, and when she nodded, he ran off as well, leaving her and Eugene standing in the street.
Ron said that Carl, Judith, and Enid are holed up at Rick's. Do you think you could go check in on them? Let Carl know they're gone?
I can do that.
She reached down and gave his hand a quick squeeze.
It's over, haircut. We made it.
Not all of us.
He glanced around at the bodies in the street, and she sighed heavily and nodded in agreement.
I know, but right now we gotta just do what we can do, okay? So you go check on Carl and Judith, and I'll go check on Denise.
He nodded and gave her hand one more squeeze before heading in the direction of Rick's house. Talisa turned and walked to the stairs that led up to the medical office. When she walked through the door, she saw Denise sitting on the edge of the counter covered in blood, staring at Holly's lifeless body.
Is it over?
Talisa walked over and hopped up to sit next to her.
Yeah, the last of them ran out the gates a few minutes ago.
They sat in silence for quite a long time. Talisa knew if she gave Denise enough time, she'd say the things that were obviously bubbling right under the surface. After another minute or so, she finally spoke.
Don't tell me I did my best.
Why? Did you not do your best?
Denise glared at her.
She's dead. I feel like the answer to that question is pretty obvious.
What killed her?
Denise looked at her like she was crazy.
Did you not see the very large knife sticking out of her stomach?
No, I know that part. But I mean what specifically killed her. What did the knife do to her?
Denise pressed her hands to her eyes and sighed.
It cut her abdominal aorta. As soon as I removed the knife, it was over. There just wasn't time to get in there and get it clamped off, like even if I knew what I was doing.
Sounds to me like you did know what you were doing, but she was just too far gone.
If there had been an actual surgeon here, she might not have been.
Yeah, and if there had been an armed military force inside these walls, she wouldn't have even been hurt. If there had been an electrified fence around us, no one would have gotten in. If there had been scientists with a better understanding of the virus, none of us might have even been here today. We can't beat ourselves up about the ifs, Denise. There isn't a surgeon here anymore. That's the reality. With time, you're going to learn and improve and be able to handle more complicated things. But you weren't prepared for a high-stakes, incredibly delicate operation on an unstable patient after just 3 days of theoretical research, and that's okay. No one expected you to be. You knew you weren't equipped to handle this, but you tried. You didn't kill Holly, Denise. They did. You did your best, and no one can ask for anything more than that. Except maybe that you get up tomorrow and do your best again.
Denise let out a small, hiccuping sob, and Talisa wrapped an arm around her and let her cry on her shoulder.
I hate the way the goddamned world is now.
Me too, but we're gonna get through it. I promise. You're a good person, Denise, and you were so brave today. I know you don't see it, but I do. And so do the others.
Denise cried for a little longer before finally sitting up and wiping her eyes.
You see, this is why I chose psychiatry. You don't lose patients like this.
No, you don't. The way you lose them with us is worse. If you fail as a psychiatrist, their suffering isn't ended, it's just begun.
Denise looked over at her and glared again.
Was that really necessary? I'm already upset here. I don't need any more depressing thoughts.
Talisa shrugged.
Just telling it like it is.
They heard the clank of the front gates as they opened, and Denise jumped up to go look out the window.
It's probably just Maggie, Rosita, Spencer, and Deanna coming back in from clearing the outer wall.
No, I see them, but it's not just them. It's Michonne, too.
Talisa jumped up and took off through the door. She charged down the stairs and up the street towards them, skidding to a stop where Michonne was standing with Maggie and Rosita.
What's going on? Where's everyone else?
We got separated. That horn drew half the herd off the path, and we had to split up. Glenn, Nicholas, Heath, David, Annie, Sturgis, and I headed for that town that's just a little west of here. It was overrun. Glenn split off with Nicholas. He had this idea that if he started a fire in one of the buildings, it would draw the walkers back to us. Away from here. I wanted to go instead.
She searched Maggie's face as she spoke.
I tried to, but he wouldn't let me. The fire never got lit, and we had to keep moving. I'm so sorry. He said if he got stuck, he'd find a way to send us a signal.
A signal? What kind of...
She stopped mid-sentence and looked up. There was an indistinct screaming coming from the other side of the gate, accompanied by the unmistakable sounds of a horde of the dead growing louder. Deanna, who had been standing atop the lookout tower, looked down at them with a horrified expression. Michonne ran to the gate and threw it open. The scene they saw froze them all in terror. Rick was running towards them on foot, waving wildly and screaming for them to open the gate. Mere feet behind him was a horde that numbered in the tens of thousands, moving towards them as a wave. Michonne threw the gate open and ran to meet him as the horde began to close in around him on the sides. She slashed through the dead with her katana, giving him just enough of a window to stumble inside as they slammed the gates closed and the wave of bodies crashed into it, snapping and snarling. Michonne closed the inner gates, and they all stepped back. From every direction, the growling and moans filled the air as the dead slowly surrounded them.
Good God Almighty.
Talisa turned slightly to see that Eugene had come up beside her and was now staring up at the walls just like the rest of the crowd that was gathering. After another moment, Rick turned to address them.
You can hear it, and some of you saw it. They got back here, half of them, but that's still enough to surround us 20 deep.
He looked around at all the scared and panicked faces.
Look, I know you're scared. You haven't seen anything like this. You haven't been through anything like this, but we're safe for now. The panel that the truck hit seems intact, but we'll reinforce it just in case. The walls are going to hold together. The question is, are you?
He paused, looking each of the people gathered directly in the eye before he continued.
The others are going to be back. Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha have vehicles. They're going to lead the ones out there away, just like they did the others. And then once they do, Glenn and Nicholas are going to walk right through that gate. They know what they need to do, and we know what we need to do too. We need to keep noise at a minimum. Pull our blinds at night, or even better, keep the lights out. We'll try to make this place as quiet as a graveyard.
Look around you, Rick. This place is a graveyard.
Spencer snapped, motioning to the bodies that still lined the streets.
Hey!
Aaron walked up to the front of the group and stood next to Rick.
The quarry broke open, and those walkers were headed straight for us. The plan that Rick put into place stopped that from happening. He got half of them away.
Aaron looked down at his feet and sighed, then spoke to the crowd again.
When I was out recruiting with Daryl, we found a cannery and I wanted to get in and try and scavenge. Daryl wanted to keep looking for people. We did what I wanted, and we ran into a trap set by those people, the ones who attacked us, and...
He took a deep breath.
And I lost my pack. They must have seen my pictures and followed us back here. They found their way here because of me. This is my fault, not Rick's.
There was a ringing silence in the crowd following his words. After a few moments passed, Deanna stepped forward and put a hand gently on Aaron's forearm.
There will be a lot we all need to talk about. But for now, let's all just go back to our homes and do as Rick says. We'll have plenty of time to figure things out once this situation is handled.
It was eerie, Talisa thought, as she sat on her front steps in the darkness. As Rick had suggested, everyone had turned off their lights, though she could see glow of a few candles peeking out from behind closed blinds. The streets were empty except for the patrols, and the silence made the sounds of their boots crunching against the fallen leaves seem amplified. The only other sound to be heard was the low, rhythmic rumble of the dead bumping endlessly against the walls all around them. Talisa sipped her cup of tea and pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders.
We got lucky with the full moon. At least the sentries will have some visibility.
Talisa jumped, almost spilling her tea in the process.
Jesus, don't sneak up on a person like that haircut. You almost gave me a heart attack.
He sat down on the step next to her.
My apologies. Given the relative silence of our current surroundings, I assumed you would have heard my approach.
Yeah, I probably should have. But my mind was kind of wandering.
Being as our present situation is less than ideal, I can appreciate how a break from reality would be appealing.
So how are things over at Casa Eugene? Tara and Rosita holding up all right?
Rosita is understandably worried, but she's well aware of Abraham's survival prowess, so she is holding it together. Tara is grumbling about the fact that we are stuck behind these walls, but she has a penchant for becoming disagreeable when cooped up, so that is generally par for the course.
And how about you? You doing all right?
Well, I will freely admit to having been terrified during the incursion that took place this afternoon. But seeing as I came out of it none the worse for wear, as did all those I care about, I'd say I'm pretty much 5 by 5, all things considered.
Good.
Talisa pulled her knees up to her chest as she spoke.
I'm guessing you're wondering what prompted me to come and join you on your steps at this late hour.
Not really. I figured at this point we've pretty well established that we enjoy each other's company, so I don't really question it.
Well, be that as it may, I did have a specific purpose in mind for this particular visit.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Talisa looked over at him in curiosity, and as she did, he looked down at his intertwined fingers.
Today, when I was in Denise's office, and I very truly believed that you might be dead, It caused me to evaluate our current circumstances, and I came to a conclusion. A somewhat unexpected conclusion that I felt compelled to share with you, if you'll permit me to do so.
Talisa felt a swoop in her stomach, and she swallowed hard. She wasn't sure where Eugene was going with this conversation, and she was even less sure she was ready to find out.
And what was the conclusion?
I'm sure this comes as no surprise to you, but I have never been one to make friends easily. In my past life, I would have classified most of the people in my social circle, small as it may have been, as acquaintances who tolerated me. Even within the group that I now occupy, I know I have created a deep and enduring bond with said individuals based on all the things we've had to do to survive, and I'm aware they would classify me as a friend if asked. But on a personal level, I'm also aware that much of who I am annoys the daylights out of them, and they only tolerate it due to our aforementioned bond and affection.
He looked up at her with a nervous but genuine expression.
But you are different. From the day I met you, you have always made me feel that you not only accept all my eccentricities and quirks, but you genuinely enjoy them, and enjoy me for who I am.
I do.
Well, it occurred to me today when I thought there was a very real possibility that I might never see you again. That, as crazy as it sounds, being that we have only known each other for approximately 15 days, 6 hours, and 32 minutes. That I believe you are the best friend I have ever had. And I thought I should tell you that.
He looked back at her, obviously waiting to see what her response was. She felt a warmth and affection spread through her chest, and she turned her head to give him a smile.
Wow, Eugene. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
He returned her smile before looking back out over the darkened community.
And don't worry, seeing as you were previously married to the self-proclaimed love of your life, I am well aware that I do not hold the same status for you, nor would I expect to. So please, do not feel any guilt about your lack of reciprocity.
She smiled again and rested her head against her legs, blinking quickly against the tears that caught in the corners of her eyes. The fact that he understood her hesitance without her even having to explain meant the world to her.
Thank you for that, too.
She leaned slightly closer to him, pressing the weight of her shoulder against his as they sat together staring out into the darkness.
For what it's worth, it only took you 15 days, 6 hours, and about, I'd say, 35 minutes now to become my current best friend.
Considering the fact that I have yet to be given that moniker by anyone else in my lifetime, safe to say it's worth quite a lot. And thank you for saying it.
She shot him a teasing smile.
So BFFs till the end?
Yes, ma'am.
They continued to sit there in comfortable silence for several more minutes.
We should have a secret handshake.
He chuckled appreciatively, but after another minute he sighed heavily and turned to look at her.
What is it now?
It feels completely inappropriate, and in some ways indecent to bring this up with the state of things. But seeing as we have just established our new status as proverbial BFFs, I think a policy of openness and honesty is an important foundation. And in that vein, there is something I think we need to clear the air about.
Okay.
Talisa's stomach was beginning to twist uncomfortably again.
Ever since you and I began spending time together, my other companions, Rosita and Tara in particular, have implied that your reasons for seeking out my company may go beyond a simple desire for friendship with someone of like interests. I want you to know I have emphatically and repeatedly informed them that the idea of women with your particular combination of beauty, brains, and, might I add, general badassery, having any interest beyond friendly interactions with someone such as myself, is so entirely ludicrous, it bears no consideration whatsoever. But, as I said, in the interest of full transparency, I feel I need to ask. You are indeed only seeking to spend time with me on the basis of friendship, correct?
Talisa was quiet for a moment, trying to figure out exactly how to put her thoughts into words. After a few more moments of consideration, she finally spoke.
Yes, Eugene. My purpose for seeking you out has always been for friendship and the sharing of mutual interest.
He gave her a relieved smile.
As I suspected. But thank you for clarifying. I now feel completely justified in telling Rosita and Tara where they can stick their implications.
He stood and turned back to her where she was sitting.
Well, I won't take up any more of your evening, but thank you for being willing to talk things out with me. As you can plainly see, I am a relative novice when it comes to this entire friendship arena, and I greatly appreciate your patience and help as I navigate it.
Anytime, Eugene. Have a good night.
You as well.
As she watched him walk away, Talisa was seized by a sudden impulse. She didn't know where it had come from, and she wasn't sure what made her do it, but she called out after him.
Hey, Eugene?
In the silence around them, her voice carried, even though she was speaking softly. He stopped and turned back to her with an expectant expression.
In the interest of full transparency and openness, the idea of you and me isn't entirely ludicrous.
He didn't respond. He simply stood there staring at her as if he was trying to decide if he heard her correctly, and if he did, if she could possibly have meant what she said. She smirked slightly.
Good night, haircut.
She turned and walked back through her door without waiting for a reply. When I Fall is a work of fiction based on AMC's The Walking Dead. Any characters not created by the author are the property of said company. The story will continue in the next chapter.